I love Kyle's image.
Hey guys, what's up? And welcome to the Laser Source podcast, the number one podcast if you do things begrudgingly. That's me today. Though my co hosts are going to be very excited to talk to you about some things, and I'm here for some convincing. I'm ready to hear about it. Before we get too into it, we're joined today by Michael Mullins, Laser Engraving 911. What up, boy? You want to say
What
hi to
up?
your peeps?
Yeah, what up, everybody? How you
And
guys doing?
I've got Kyle and Matt here as per usual. What's up, boys?
Hello, hello.
What up?
And yeah, I don't know. Let's just jump right into it. The sooner we start, the sooner we can be done. What is this ACCELaser? What? Tell me about it, because I know that it's all the rage right now. It's the shiny new thing. Everybody's looking at it. And the last time I heard about a galvo laser mounted on a gantry system, it was a horrible failure and everyone hated it. So how is this different?
Well, right, she just cut right to the bone on the
Right
first
to the bone,
one.
dude.
Oh,
yeah,
well,
I mean, it's
first,
been all over your channel lately. If you guys want to learn more about this laser, head over to Laser Engraving 911, because Michael's got a ton of videos on this. He's already done a full review. They flew this man to China. I'm sure we're going to hear all about it, but Michael's the expert on this machine. So
yeah, I guess I am kind of the only one that's like physically got my hands on it. So first of all, the first thing when I started talking to David, who's the CEO, we actually talked like almost a year ago.
mm-hmm.
So that's how long I've known about this machine, but I never really knew what it was. And the way it came about is I think David had seen my YouTube videos and he saw that I offered one-on-one consultations. And so he hired me to just pick my brain. And he, at that point in his thing, he wasn't able to divulge any information. I honestly had no idea what he was building. He was just kind of like, what are people looking for? What's important to people? In your opinion, like what's important to you as a laser engraver? He just wanted to pick my brain. Sure. And he was very nice and he couldn't share any information. And then we didn't really talk for a while. And I was like, oh, that was weird. Like I never heard from him again. And then like 6 months later, or maybe it was 5 months later, he like checked in. He's like, hey, I just want to let you know, we're still working on our project. It was great talking to you. I'll have more information to share later. And I was like, cool. And then I didn't hear from him again for like a long time. And I saw David at CES when I was there at the X Tool booth. And I was just randomly walking around CES. And all of a sudden I hear, Michael, it's David. And he's got a booth there kind of showing off the first little bit of the ACCELaser. Yeah. Like, an image of the chassis, not really too much information, but just kind of there as his first time at CES. And he was like, I'm so glad that I saw you. I don't know if you know anything about CES, but if you're new to CES and you're a new vendor, they stick you way in the back. Like you don't get prime time anything. So I feel like he was just really happy to see someone who he actually knew there. And it was, and we kind of reconnected there, and he brought me up to speed at how far along their project. And kind of, that was my first time learning about it. I was like, wow, this is really something new and different. I did not expect that this is what you were building. And he's like, we're going to start talking soon. And then, that was like a year later, and we started talking, and he's the one that came up with the idea of not shipping a unit here. Because of where they're at in production and everything. So he said, but what we'd like to do is bring you out here and let you see it firsthand and maybe go live and do your full review here at our facility and then go back home and do your thing and kind of share it with everybody. That's exactly what he did. So that's a story I don't think a lot of people know, is like that it's been a year to kind of talking and learning from him about what this machine is, and that this is kind of the final not the final release, because there's going to be a lot of people reviewing the unit, but this is kind of like how it all came about. I don't know if that's interesting to anybody, but
I think it's super interesting. That was like a lot of dominoes that had to fall in the right order for you to like end up there.
To me, it sounds like a genie. You're like, man, yeah, it'd be really cool if this happened. And he's like, that would be cool. And then 6 months goes by and he's just like,
yeah,
popped up out of nowhere. And he's like, I made the shit you wanted. Come see it.
Yeah, it was very cloak and dagger for a while. And I don't blame him, I don't blame him, but it was very cloak and dagger. And I really wasn't getting much information on what it was, what it does, how it works. I would get maybe a little video clip here and there of like, but I didn't really quite get it till I got it. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what is it? I tried my best in the video to explain to you guys. I don't have to explain it all, what it is or what it's capable of, but the best way I can say is, if you take your best fiber laser and attach it to a gantry head and then add the ability to dynamically focus on curved surfaces, and have the speed of that fiber laser attached to a gantry, that's what you get. It's like two things combined into one. And because you have the speed of the fiber laser and you have the gantry, you're able to batch out things in a very quick way because you're skipping a lot of the dead space that you would in kind of a raster, CO2 style. You're going right to where things need to happen. And then when you get to that location, you're getting the speed out of the fiber laser at that location. And then it's moving on to the next area that needs to be done.
Yeah. In the video I saw, it almost looked like your normal grid that you would have, like a 800 by 800, but it was like 800A, 800 by 800B, C, and basically you could kind of, like you said, it batched it out. So it's like, here's this workspace. Yeah. Or you could have one giant one that basically combined that. And I was just like, shit, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And one of the things that I immediately thought of, and Alex, I swear you and I have talked about this before when we were many years ago, we talked about a galvo that I think LMT had, where it was a large format galvo that was it was a flying galvo, but it worked in sections and it stitched things together. And I think that's how they've always kind of worked. It wasn't really a flying galvo. It was, but it wasn't. And it would do blocks of the graphic at a time up to maybe 24 by 24 inches.
Yeah.
But there was always a problem with the images, the next section being stitched together.
And
properly.
that's the crux. That's where I need convincing, because we've seen this before. This isn't a new idea. A flying galvo has been a thing for a long time. And the problem with it is that if you don't have a fucking engineering degree, it's impossible to use correctly. So what are they doing to change that situation? This is where I need to be sold, because the vast majority of the people watching both of our channels, Michael, are not getting an engineering degree to use this laser. So how is this different? And why can people buy something like this with confidence? I know it sounds like I'm setting you up for a home run.
No, you're not, man.
I really want the answer to this question because I don't understand it.
Yeah.
So what is different here?
Yeah. So what's different is what's different, and what I saw was I literally watched the machine do like large graphics with 0 stitch marks, and it was doing it in sections. And there was no visible stitch marks. And I think a lot of that has to do with David's background in 3D printing. Okay. So David has a really, really heavy background in motion control.
Sure.
Okay. And one of the things that they have done, and I don't know the secret sauce behind it, he kind of tried to explain it to me. I don't know exactly how they're doing it, but that second camera on there, do you guys see that second camera in the video?
Dual camera positioning, pinpoint precision guaranteed.
Well, it does something very interesting. Okay. And it's not just about positioning. So one of the things that it does is, as you guys can imagine, and I didn't really cover this a lot in my review because I could only fit in so much, is you can imagine with a flying, and Kyle, you'll appreciate this. You guys will appreciate this. with a dynamically focused fiber laser, right? When you start changing the focus, right, in our world with fiber lasers, you'd have to recalibrate for each lens, right? You have to do a new calibration.
Yep.
So what this machine does is it makes this crazy little calibration like symbol that you guys have seen before. It's this calibration symbol, and it takes a picture of it using the camera, and it sees any kind of machine vibration that could be happening. And I'm talking like on a real small level, right? And this camera analyzes this pattern that it just engraved by itself, and then it uses in the head different types. Dude, I'm going way out, but I'm doing my best to explain it. It uses different kinds of frequency cancellation methods to make sure that there is no vibrations. And this is done, I guess, in 3D printing. Do you guys have
I was gonna say it's like
do you have
LiDAR.
do you have
Like
a
LiDAR.
Bamboo A1 Mini, and it does that weird vibrating thing at the beginning, and it does all these calibrations? Well, this machine does that too, and that's because of David's background. So because it does phasing of the frequencies and stuff, I'm getting way out here, it's able to be that accurate because it's gotten rid of any possibility of not being aligned properly due to machine vibrations and things like that. So I've looked really close, like under a microscope, and I cannot see any stitch marks, even on that big image of that, like you saw that big 12 by 24 like bust of, like, you know, that was engraved on metal. I don't know if you saw that in there in the video, but you can get under that with a microscope and there's no stitch lines.
Wow.
Which is like insane to me. And that's the best way I can explain how this is different from other flying galvos or previous attempts, is whatever he's got going on in the head, he has spent a lot of time making sure that it's constantly calibrating itself so it stays exactly where the engravings are always lined up right where they're supposed to be. That's as much as information as he was able to share with me.
Yeah, I want to pick apart your experience while you were there a little bit. So let's give everybody just a little background. We were talking a little bit before the show, but you went there to actually see this machine in person, and this trip was recent, right? When did you get back?
Dude, I just came back like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
like a week and a half ago. When
you were there, did you get to play with it at all, or were they demoing things for you?
No, I got to play with it.
Yeah, so did you get to see or even try the stitching with like an off the cuff thing, or was it only with stuff that they had prepared ahead of time, like graphics and things like that?
No,
I mean, get to put anything together?
I mean, I gave them logos to put on there, but you have to understand that the software development and the bridge of Lightburn, I mean, that was covered in the live stream. You know, they are currently working with Lightburn right now to get all these functions compatible with Lightburn. So right now, what they have is their own software loading the images in, registering the images. But I was able to give them those images. I was able to give them my logos. I was able to give, like, I designed those business cards. Right.
So they don't have something, I'm assuming, are they doing like a Lightburn first approach where they're literally, that's what it's going to ship?
100%.
100%. So it's not going to ship with like ACCELaser software, like the X Tool Creative Suite or something like that. It's okay. It is Lightburn. So they had like some fucking crazy shit going on where they were like, and it was like, blah, 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 and sent it to the machine.
Correct. They have their own proprietary controller, and that's how they were loading it in. And it was whatever they were doing, it was very fast. Like it didn't, and they knew how to register and line everything up very quickly. It dealt with the bitmaps that I sent them of the photos of me, SVGs, whatever. And I do know that they're like weekly talking with Lightburn to the point where and I said this in the comments, they have sent them their full controller. Like Lightburn is in possession of their controller. So they That's how deep they are working with Lightburn right now.
That's good. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
nice to hear that the company is like giving direct access to the controller and probably like the firmware and shit too, so that
All of it.
Lightburn can like
They
don't have to sit and like decrypt it, right? Like they have full access.
They have full access to it. They're being super transparent because they really see how powerful Lightburn is, and they don't want to go any other way.
Good.
Yeah, that's how you tap into a market, because if you're familiar with it and people have like they love using that, software, why wouldn't you? So it's really smart and very cool.
That was my biggest concern, followed by the stitching, was how are they doing the laser software and the setup? Because people aren't going to want to jump through 2 or 3 different softwares to get an output to send to the laser, right?
Absolutely not.
They want one software, one-stop shop, set it up and send it, and be done. And
very smart. Yeah,
honestly, it would be a make or break situation for me too, where if I had to do setup in one thing just to switch over to Lightburn to send it, that's like a break in my mind.
Yeah, no, it's supposed to, if you load an image with a photograph and have some vector text in there, like they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Like they just want you to be able to load that in there and let the machine decide the best solution to engrave whatever you just threw at it in Lightburn, like using all of its capabilities. So that's the whole idea. You're not going to have have to have a degree in rocket science to try to program each section in Lightburn. I actually had a long talk with David about this in his office of how important that is, Kyle. That people are going to want to use it just like they normally use Lightburn and not have to do any weird stuff. Now, there will be, I think, some kind of extra stuff that Lightburn's going to have to do because it does have dual cameras. So that's kind of a new thing. And that second camera, while it is used for that high-end calibration, I think it's also going to be used for a lot of other things like print and cut and other things like that as well. So it's a very kind of, what do they call it? Like it's an auxiliary camera, but it can be programmed to be a lot of other things besides just a calibration camera and a homing camera, right?
Yeah, I mean, and like having 2 eyes lets you see depth, right? I mean, that's, I'm sure, a massive part of what's going on here.
Exactly, and it has the LiDAR built in as well, and that's how it's doing the mapping.
I'm looking at the pricing right now, and it actually seems kind of good on the Kickstarter. Do you want to talk about the Kickstarter campaign really quick?
Yeah, I mean, it's on Kickstarter right now. They have like 3 different tiers. They have like the essential model, which is like the base. It's like 20. It's like the 20-watt diode and a 2-watt IR. Not my favorite flavor right there. I said in the video that my favorite one was the Pro, which is the 55-watt diode and the 20-watt fiber laser. Sure. So that seems to be a really, I like the price point of that one a lot. And I like that. That's the one that we were messing around with on the video. That's the one I shot my review on. That's the one we did the live stream on, and it performed really, really well. But if you are a seasoned professional and you are used to having a lot of power, then they have the Ultra model, which is the almost 90-watt diode, which is, we can talk about that 90-watt diode and how they're having that built, because that's a whole animal in itself. Yeah. And then a 60-watt MOPA fiber laser. And I know a lot of people have been asking about what's the laser source? What's the laser source in the fiber? And right now, the best answer that I can get from David is they're looking at them all. They literally have all of them there. They have JPTs, they have Rakis, they're looking at them all, and they're going to decide in the end what fits best for their performance, their form factor, and what kind of deals they can work out with. So
they know they're getting a 60-watt MOPA. They just don't know which one yet.
They don't. And to be clear, that on that unit, the mega power ultra, all those laser sources will be housed outside of the unit because they're just too big to fit in the sides of the machine.
Yeah, so, it's kind of odd that, like, I feel like a lot of the 3D features of this machine that it's like giving you super accessibility to are going to be lost on something like a 20-watt fiber, because you're not going to be going like crazy deep on 20 watts. I mean, were you able to do anything magical in 3D with 20 watts? Because that's what your review unit had, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would say we didn't do any super deep engraving. I mean, it's a 20-watt laser. You can run multiple passes in one section and then move on to the next section if you want. But if you're into doing like some deep carving, some brass coins, which is very interesting, I do have some, if somebody's really into doing kind of 3D embossing, which, by the way, I just want to say really sucks the life out of lasers. You know, when you're doing that much 3D embossing, nobody ever talks about that. Not just the ACCELaser, but any fiber laser. When you're doing like mass production of 3D embossing, it really does, you know, it's pretty hard on the laser when you're running it for 2 or 3 hours at a time. But I think that people will be able to do, you know, mass production of kind of 3D embossing with something like this with a 60-watt MOPA. I would say not super deep carving, but at least some level of 3D on a batch scale, which might free up people a lot of time to do other stuff in the shop. You know?
Cool.
Yeah.
So
I haven't talked to these guys at all. If you haven't noticed by this point in the live stream, but Michael has, and he's really stoked about it. Michael doesn't just sell his soul for anything. This is something that he's like personally involved in, and he's really excited about. So I'm going to do you a solid, dude, and say, if you're here from Laser Everything and you are interested in picking one of these up on Kickstarter, head over to Michael's channel, Laser Engraving 911, and hit up some of his. I'm sure you've got affiliate links rocking over there, right?
Yeah, the main video of the main review has the affiliate links listed right in the description. So
go hit up Michael, guys. Go help support his channel too. He's doing great stuff over there. Despite how angry I am that you're going to get 100K before me, I'm very salty about that. I do still love you, so I want people to use those links if you guys are so inclined, because I am kind of feeling better about it. I really like. I'm glad to hear you say they're doing a Lightburn first approach rather than like, here's our software also, comma, we support Lightburn, you know, like.
Yeah, no, they understand how extremely important it is to do a Lightburn first approach. That's like, it's like the top of David's list. So that's how serious he is about it. So, but honestly, man, yeah, I got excited about it because I'm always talking about how much I hate standing in front of machines doing batch work. And it's just such, I feel like it's when I'm standing in front of a machine doing batch work, when I know I could be doing something else, it just drives me nuts, you know, changing something out every 3 minutes, you know, every 4 minutes, depending on what laser you have, it could be 6 minutes, you know? And when I see things that open up the doors for me to set a bunch of things in, especially the fiber laser doing metal stuff, because Alex, you know how many machine parts and commercial industrial parts we've done over the time, and I still do those a lot. I do a lot of QR codes, serial numbers on machine parts. Man, like when I saw this, I was like, oh, I could set up so many in this machine and just walk away and go do something else. You know, and that's what excites me about it the most.
If you guys, I don't know if you've seen this yet, Michael, you probably have. You watched like every video we put out, but Kyle's video about the index, the Maxi index. Have you seen
the index is great.
That thing is sick too. That's an alternate way to accomplish these kind of tasks. If you guys haven't seen that, go look it up. Just type index into my channel search and Kyle's video on that will come up. Kyle, I know you're super into this stuff, dude. Do you have any comments or questions? Because this is something you've mentioned to me you were excited about. And
I have all the comments.
Yeah, what's up?
So I've been getting a lot of questions about the ACCELaser over the last week or two or so, especially since you did your video, Michael. Or I should say live stream. There's a lot of people who are very excited because over the years, and I mean years, we've gotten a lot of questions of, oh man, this 110 lens just isn't big enough, but it's the only one that I have enough power density to engrave the thing I need to engrave. But the thing I need to engrave is like 3 feet long or 2 feet long. So the only way to do that is to get like a gantry or an X table or something.
I know.
And then the step beyond that is it's 3 feet long, but it's 2 feet wide. So now an X table doesn't work. Now I do need a gantry, which means now I have to spend like $100,000 on a laser, because the only people who do that they know they're the only ones who do that, or one of the few, and they charge for it. And you have to work your butt off to tune in the stitch marks and fight with it. Well, this gets me excited because it's an alternative that is, in a lot of cases, like 1/20th the price of what you would expect to pay for something like that, or even 1/10 on the low end at best.
Right.
So this opens a lot of potential for those people. And then on the side of batch work, where that's kind of my bread and butter, and I absolutely love that stuff. It gets me excited because this is another door opener where, if it really is that easy to set up and do batch work for, and you don't have to fight with figuring out, like if it's LiDAR scanning a curve or something, that opens up a whole lot more doors. And also, just like if you wanted to do like 100 coins on a bed, you could do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I could do that now with the index, but like, what if you wanted to do something bigger, like a big ass bottle opener or something? I mean, like, you could do so much more. The flexibility, it kind of, it gives me some hope on that.
Yeah. And I don't usually talk about this on my, you just made me think, Kyle. I don't usually talk about this on my channel just because YouTube's YouTube, but you know, Alex and I have done a lot of firearms in our time, and I can just imagine what this is going to do for guys wanting to do full coverage on receivers. No more stitching together, no more sectioning off different parts. Like, you can just do it all in one.
All the different heights and
all the different heights on like different curves on a receiver. Like, that's you're done. One big graphic, loaded in and register it. Take the height, get the height map, and you're done. Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of different sectors that I think will benefit from something like this.
Do you think that there's anybody that this isn't for? You know, people that should just not look at this.
Well, you know,
or is it trying to be for everyone?
I don't think it's trying to be for everyone. I think that I still love my CO2 laser because it can cut so many materials, and it's not limited to different spectrums of colors of materials and things like that. So I would say, like, you know, if you're, you know, in the early stages of a craft business where you're trying to make, like, you know, earrings, and you want to use lots of acrylics, and you want to use wood, and you want to just have all the different materials at your hand, maybe this isn't the best machine for you. And like, if you're trying to start an early crafting business, there are other units that, like a affordable desktop CO2 laser, that might be better suited, you know, for you, because this has a lot of features that you may not ever need for what you're trying to do, you know. And
what about the opposite? What if you are like full-time, you're already in production, you're doing as, you know, much work as you could probably handle, and you have like your systems in place, but you need a new laser? Would those people benefit from something like this? Or do you think
if a good percentage of your business is currently doing fiber laser work, and you know, a good chunk of it, like, you're doing a lot of machine parts, you're doing a lot of metal things, fiber laser is part of your weekly job, then yes, this machine is going to be for you 100%. Nice. And if you do a lot of cups, this machine is going to be for you. If you do tumblers, and this is your, and tumblers are, we all do tumblers, man. Tumblers are great. Tumblers are money makers. They're a staple in the laser engraving industry. So if you're doing a lot of tumblers and you don't like using multi-rollers or having 7 little machines with a single rotary in them lined up in a row so you can output what you need to do, you might want to look at the ACCELaser, because it can do as many tumblers as you can pack in there, and it has the dynamic focus, so you can do large logos on those tumblers.
Nice.
You're not limited to what your 4-inch lens can achieve or your 2-inch lens. Like a CO2 laser, you're able to actually follow the curve and do wide logos. So yeah, that's what I would say about existing businesses.
See, well, I was just
Go
going
ahead.
to add to that too. Like, for me, exactly what you said. Like, I was looking at the different tiers that are on that Kickstarter, and there's just a lot of really cool stuff. But especially like you said, there's like air nozzles and stuff like that. So there are people who are trying to cut if you're somebody who wants a bigger bed. The other thing that's really cool too is it's a self-enclosed unit. Like, that's one more thing that with fiber lasers is kind of a pain in the ass. Like setting up a system that actually takes the particulate out of the air in your shop. Knowing how to do that, if you're somebody who's new and trying to learn how to do that versus coming from a glow forge or coming from something else that just has that kind of stuff already innately put in place. I think that's really, really a big, cool thing. And I was trying to find, but I mean, even if you do acrylics with like, you know, the darker acrylics, like these make awesome Christmas ornaments that you can batch out on fiber laser so quick. Like, I mean, so it's just one of those things where absolutely agree. CO2 is dope, but at the same time, if you, and this is kind of ties back to Bronson, it was either a week ago or 2 weeks ago, he was saying, which laser should I get for my company that I want, you know, I want to build. So if you know that you're going that direction, this is a great tool, especially for that price. And I was looking at it, it actually covers taxes for some countries, it said. So I'm assuming, you know, make sure you do your due diligence, but at the same time, like, man, what a great tool for the price. So
yeah, right now it's being offered at I know it may seem just like with every laser that comes out, it may seem like it's, you know, the Ultra is like a lot, but I can guarantee you it's going to be a lot more after Kickstarter.
Dude, looking at all the stuff that comes with it, like if you have not gone and looked at what comes with it, for an extra $1,000, the amount of things that come with it that you're going to have to buy ancillary anyways over time.
Yeah.
It's just all in one shot, and you know that it's going to work with the system because it's not proprietary.
I'm certain the Ultra is going to end up over 10 grand for sure. I'm certain.
Probably, and they're almost sold out. I think they're the Ultra offerings. If I checked earlier today, it
one of them
look
was
like there's many left right now.
Yep. Not particularly surprising. We have a good chunk of questions from chat, Michael. So I'm going to throw them at you because you are the expert today. Mike says, how much difference is the Pro from the Ultra?
That's really easy to answer, man. The Ultra is just a more powerful 85 watt diode and a 60 watt MOPA. And the Pro, you get a 55 watt diode and a 20 watt pulsed fiber laser, non-MOPA, but every other feature in the machine, there's no other stripped out features. It's just the power level. Everything else comes with it. Right.
Bronson wants to know how much I want it.
I'm going to share my screen if you let me, and then Michael, whatever Michael's talking about, we can take a look at it, you know?
Yep. Go for it.
Yep, should be seeing.
There's lots, you know, dude. There's lots of different packages right now. There's still quite a bit of the Pro levels, which I still, you know, I'm still like the Pro personally. Just I like the price point on it. The Ultra is pretty powerful, man. I think people have really gravitated to the Ultra with the high powered lasers. But the Pro, in my opinion, is like a very, very functional unit. You still get like almost a 60 watt diode, and you still get that 20 watt fiber, which was more than capable from what I got to play with when I was out there.
Yeah. And just so you guys can kind of see, because you were asking the prices, I'm trying to, as Michael's talking about them, show them off. But yeah, just to focus on it in case you can't access it for some reason. You get the Pro unit, the airflow nozzle, the aluminum grid plate, the work tray, some lens, protective window lenses, exhaust hoses, the air hoses. It's all the stuff that you would have to go out and have anyways, or scrounge around your shop. Everything comes with it. You get the toolbox like most lasers comes with. And then the nice thing is they have some other stuff here that you can add into the box that you might be able to find other places. But, you know, hey, it's all here. And then
yeah, and they had that work tray is a pin tray, just so you know.
Oh, really?
So it's got pins in it.
Yeah,
I believe.
For some reason, I can't click on it to zoom in.
You can't
but
click on it, but I believe that it's going to come with fixture pins.
It looks like, I mean, if you look close, you can actually kind of like see little dots here, like on the where the light's coming through.
Yeah, they had it there. In fact, it's in the live stream. If you want to get it, it is. I think it's the beta tray, but they had it all fixtured up with like different for the business cards. They had put some little L brackets in there and jigged them all up really quick. So it looked very, very useful rather than the standard cutting plates that you see on some other units. You just get the little.
This seems like a good time. Michael's not going to do it because he's a guest on the podcast, but I can do it for him. This seems like a good time, again, to plug the fact that if you go to Michael's channel, Laser Engraving 911, and watch his review he performed in China live with the machine, he does have affiliate links in the description of that video if you are looking to pick one of these up. Just want to throw that out there again.
There you go.
Yeah, thanks, homie. Appreciate that.
Yep. And so for those, I was going to say the 80 watt, in case you guys missed it, like you said it was 80 and 60, right? Or 85 and 60?
Yeah, it's like 80, 60 or something like that. Yeah.
So very cool. And it's a lot of the same components, but man, that's where that power supply, look at that.
Yeah, it's beefy, dude. Stuff. And I think it's going to be water cooled too.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
so
it would have. Really
yeah, I think it's going to be water cooled because of that 80 watt diode and everything else going on in that that brain box there is going to have to be chilled out a little bit.
So my question for you too would be like, let's say you're somebody who owns a shop, like you actually like this is your bread and butter, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that you could learn this, especially with the way that the Lightburn is coming out with all of the the stuff they're working with? Is this something that you could actually teach somebody who's like a shop hand how to use it and they can run it? What do you think? Like, so, because like for example, Rhiannon's still new to lasers, kind of, right? So like, because that's exactly what I'm thinking. Like when you say I want something that I can walk away and start doing other projects and keep going, I'm wondering too, like what's the learning curve on something like this from what you saw? What do you think?
Yeah, so from what I saw, you're gonna be able to pick just imagine if you had a fiber. Yeah, I'm not gonna say any other brands, but imagine if you had a fiber laser in front of you that was a fiber and a diode, right, and then that's all it was. You're gonna have to set your settings just like you normally would, and pick what kind of laser source you're gonna want to use first, right? So, am I using a diode or am I using the fiber? Okay, so we get that out of the way. You set your settings for whatever your hatch settings are, your power, your speed, whatever. Then beyond that, I am curious to see how you say you need to map something out, like five tumblers in a row. Like, what does that look like in Lightburn? Begin mapping sequence. You can also load in an STL if you have it. That is totally a thing. Cool. So if you have an STL, a 3D rendering of that object, you can import that in, and then you don't have to use the LiDAR anymore. So that's how they were
interjection. Just because I'm not going to remember to say this later, 3D Maker Pro sent me their Moose 3D scanner.
Oh, yes.
And it's fucking super cool and really easy to use. And I feel like that would pair nicely. Anyway, back to what you were saying.
Yeah, so if you saw in that crazy demo where they're engraving that 3D printed owl, in their promo video, there's this 3D printed owl that they're actually using the fiber to put the features on the 3D printed owl, using probably a high frequency and low power or something like that. And the way they did that was they loaded in the STL of the owl into the software and then let the dynamic focus read off the STL and keep it in focus as it rotated the owl on the rotary tool, which was like,
That's sick.
whatever. But so back to what you were asking, I'm curious just as much as you to see what that looks like in the UI. Like I need to run a LiDAR on the curvature of these 5 cups I just put in a fixture. So, what does that look
I
like?
was gonna kind of circle back around and be like, that question is kind of unfair to ask at this point, just because it is going to be Lightburn first, and that's a big part of this. You haven't
But to me,
seen
that's
yet.
a big deal to make sure people remember, because like to me, what's nice is what Michael is saying is, as a shop owner or someone who's an expert versus someone who's a noob, like you're really on, as long as you know Lightburn, you're kind of on the same level. And then once you guys can figure that out, like I could pretty much be like, you got this, and it'd be like, cool, I can keep going, working over here and doing business stuff. And then now someone who's in your shop can actually be right there with you, learning and doing, kind of like how you guys had to learn fiber lasers way back in the day together. This could be like that kind of same thing where it's like, oh shit, okay, we fucked that one up, but you know what, next time let's do this, beep up, boop, 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 and then boom, you got it,
Yeah.
And then you
I
can
think
just crack them
I think
out.
that it will be in Lightburn will make things a lot easier for everyone, because you'll already be familiar with the UI of Lightburn, whether it's, I know we're going to talk about 2.0, but you'll already be familiar for Lightburn users. You're just going to see some new windows. You're going to see some new options that are going to be specific to a laser like this. And there'll probably be instructions on how to use that LiDAR. There has to be, right?
Yeah. And I want to make sure that we have time to come back around to that, even if it's at the very end, but we do have questions piling up. So I'm going to push us forward here. The next one is Bespoke Lasers says, guys, I've seen the Rolly-matic or the Rolly Galvomatic, and it worked flawlessly. And later on, Chris Ann said, how would you say the ACCELaser compares to the new Rolly Galvomatic that's coming out? Have you guys seen any material about that yet? Because I didn't know that existed until 5 minutes ago. I'm still about the Mark II.
I watched Louisiana Hobby Guy did like a live stream. And they came out to his place and they did like a full demo and reveal and live stream over there. And David is very aware. And it's funny that they're both of these guys are both kind of like side streaming. It's not like one of them was racing. And actually, David from ACCELaser, the CEO, he actually knows the guy who's making the Rolly, and they have a very business cordial relationship. And David actually spoke pretty nicely about him. He said, I admire what he's doing and I know what it takes to build what he's building, and it's a lot of work.
I'm sure that motion control is a very small community. Like I'm sure they all know each other,
Yeah. So they're very aware of it. I watched the live stream, and from what I saw on the live stream, I don't want to poo-poo the Raleigh or anything like that. And what I can say is that they're completely different machines.
Sure.
And they have different ways of achieving their goals. And some of them are probably more advanced than the other ones. But they are both flying galvo machines. That I can say. I can say that at least. They are both. Answer. But from what I saw and what David kind of educated me on, they're different machines. And I wrote this in comments answering the same question on my channel. The only really way that people are going to understand how different they are is when they're actually out and in the hands of people comparing them side by side. And then everyone will understand that that's a different.
Huge thing. I don't even think we've mentioned Kickstarter a few times, but neither of those lasers exist yet in the wild. They're not, this is all like theoretical, essentially. Michael got to see a really late stage prototype. Essentially, but it's neither of these machines are released, and things are subject to change, I'm sure. Between what you saw and what's actually going to ship, right?
100%.
So it's definitely something that is going to have to be reassessed, kind of as we move into the future. Mrs. WeWare says, "Sorry if been asked. I'm new to laser engraving and need a good one that'll do metal and wood. Which would you say is best for this? If you need a laser tomorrow, something like the F1 or F1 Ultra might be a good idea. There are a few different dual source kind of like entry level machines for new players. and that's a good one. The original F1, I'm going to self-plug here for a moment, is on my top 10 list for lasers in 2025. That video drops tomorrow. So if you guys want to see my top 10 list for lasers you can buy in 2025, make sure you check out that video because that will be releasing tomorrow morning. So I'm going to leave you with that to think on. But if you want a full list, check that video out tomorrow. It will definitely help you out.
Solid.
Andrew Foote says, the only question I have is regarding where the heck I find food in northern New York near Syracuse. Dinosaur barbecue was good, but need more recommendations. Dinosaur barbecue is the bomb, and I saw people in chat saying you need to go to North Carolina to get good barbecue, and I do not agree. But plates usually, I don't know if that's just a Rochester thing or if that's a Western New York thing, but if you haven't had a garbage plate, like, go get a plate. Let's see.
Andrew Foote bringing the hard-hitting questions.
Hard-hitting questions. You heard it here first. Tennessee Wood Science says, is 12 by 24 going to be the largest they offer? Now, I saw they were planning on like some kind of conveyor system, right? So that you can feed material through this machine. Can you talk about that briefly?
Yeah, briefly. It comes with one of the packages. If you look at the different packages, you can get the conveyor system. I was talking to David with that about today, and that will allow you to you're still going to be stuck with the 24 width, right? That's not going to change, but you will be able to fit longer objects in there up to a 1/2 inch currently. That is the max thickness with the conveyor.
Yeah. And Jack in the Shop, Alex, are you still running Arch? Have you installed Windows version of Lightburn in bottles? I have it running on my Arch, but I've not connected to a laser yet. I'm not using bottles. I am using a VirtualBox, Oracle VirtualBox, to run Windows on my Arch machines. I run it on both my baby laptop and my big ThinkPad and my shop desktop computer. And I have separate Windows licenses for all of them, and they're fully set up and operate perfectly with device drivers and USB. So I don't have any problems with that. If I was going to make a recommendation, I'd probably do that. VirtualBox does a really good job handling USB delegation to virtual machines. So that's my current setup for running the latest version of Lightburn, though I often still just run 1.7 on Linux when I really need to use it. Smoke Show says, since it's enclosed, what's the max Z height? Do you know that off the top of your head?
I don't know it off the top of my head, but it is a motorized base. So, and it's not only I think the specs are on the Kickstarter page, so you can go and check that out. But
it's like We Create style, right? Where like the whole top half of the machine is kind of like,
Yeah. Well, no, it's a motorized Z table, so it goes all the way down.
It's the actual table.
I have a video that you can actually see it happen.
And it's linked to the motion control.
Mm-hmm.
So the table moves up and down as you're doing.
Interesting.
So not only is it dynamically focusing in the head, but the table also moves up and down with the motion. It's a lot of motion control. So, but I don't know the depth. Sorry, I don't have that off the top of my head.
Do you know if it's a situation where you can remove like the base out of it and engrave bigger stuff?
Oh, yeah, you could.
The bottom comes out.
Oh, you mean like set the whole thing on top of something?
Well, yeah, so
it's pretty common.
Let's say you wanted to put like some crazy big bucket on a rotary under it or something.
Yeah,
someone's going to try that. Pass-through?
Sure. Yeah, I think you could. Someone's going to try that for sure.
And pull down its underwear and engrave it.
Yep.
My laptop's going to die, but before I go run over and get my charger, Lightburn 2.0 is coming out. It sounds like kind of soon. There's a release candidate out already. Runs on the new Qt6 engine, and that sounds super cool to me. Kyle, you're the resident Lightburn expert. What have you heard about the new Lightburn release? What are we going to be getting? Yes. And I will be right back. I want to hear all about it.
Kyle, dump it on us.
Dump it. Do a dump. A hot steam
I haven't heard anything, to be honest. I haven't read into it at all recently. But I know they were working on a lot of stuff, and I know they were implementing or trying to implement a lot of stuff. You know how they do the voting system to add features?
Yeah.
So I know they've been trying to work a lot of that stuff into the new release. And because of a lot of that stuff having a long development cycle, it wasn't something they were going to be able to squeeze into the current version. I'm sure that would have been a problem, but I'm gonna see if I can find.
Yeah, I actually had a post. I read the post from Lightburn earlier today that said talking about their Lightburn 2.0. It's built on a new development framework, QD6. So basically, there's
Yeah, I know they're also working on Mage.
Mm-hmm.
So are they at LBX? I mean, are they going to release are they going to release 2.0 before LBX and then or are they going to release it at LBX and show off all the features?
I'm thinking it's going to be that, like the second one, because it says the Lightburn 2.0 release is right around the corner, and right around the corner is LBX. And last year, I know they introduced Mage, or I guess 2 years ago in 23, right? They introduced Mage, and I think you're on point with that.
If Kyle gave a non-answer about features, I have the blog post in front of me.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Rip it.
As a reminder, our release candidate versions of Lightburn have been through internal testing and are ready for a short period of public testing before official release. 2.0 has lots of exciting new tools you can try out now, including additional shape creation options, edit nodes submenu, an improved camera calibration option, dark mode, and more. Visit our forum for additional information and our full changelog. You can download the 2.0 release candidate here. There's a link for full instructions on installing using the release candidate. See this post on our forum and report bugs. So right out of the box, there's going to be some new toys to play with, and it sounds like they're planning on a lot more down the road, probably including ACCELaser support.
I was looking for something new because that was from like February.
Oh, is that from February?
Yeah.
Oh, well, here am I in the dark.
Let's see. And then
something new.
I was going to say, I was going to tell you guys, I was trying to talk about Michael's video. So again, kind of helping you to see this thing in action. Michael's video right around 10 minutes and 28 seconds. I'll put a link that's like to that time spot. If you're looking to see the motion, and I've got it like queued up right now. But if you are looking to see like the motion in action and how it does the actual like Z rise and range and all that kind of stuff too at the same time. Correct. And Michael's explanation of that right about 10.5 minutes. So definitely take a look at that. Very cool. I think, did Alex die?
No, I'm reading.
Oh, shit. That's what it looks like. He's dead when he's reading.
He's trying to here's the post that Matt posted. This is from 7 hours ago, apparently. We know it's been a while since our last major release. I want to take a moment to explain why our next release, Lightburn 2.0, is built on a new development framework. Using this new framework will allow us to implement more modern features, some coming in 2.0 and many more down the road. But making that change has also meant a lot of work, a lot of testing, and a lot more bugs to squash than usual. At the same time, we've been working on Mage, which is something that we've been talking about on and off since the last LBX. And integrating Mage has led to a lot of software rewrites, apparently. I'm paraphrasing a little bit here to keep it brief. We're taking extra time to make sure everything works as expected across both applications and meets our high standards for stability, excellence, and most importantly, safety. We appreciate your ongoing support and promise the result will be well worth the wait. The official Lightburn 2.0 release is just around the corner, as you said. If you can't wait to try out all the new features, you can download our latest release candidate here. And that took me to the February post. So that is still the most recent release candidate. But yeah, it's exciting stuff.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited for LBX. I saw someone asked in the comments if we're all going. I know I will be there. What about you guys?
I don't know, dude. Miranda really, 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 really wants me to go, but I am still kind of burned out from the last time.
I know,
to be
but I
completely
really want
honest.
you to go too.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Yeah, and I just bought a house, and I'm working on setting up a shop and a house and fixing stuff up. So I don't know if I can swing that right now.
Oh, dude, mine was very clear cut a year ago. Like the place that hired me said, "Hey, you're not doing anything for a year that requires you to leave for too long, are you?" And I was like, "Not if you don't want me to." They were like, "Great, you're hired." So there you go.
Well,
Womp womp.
I'll be there, and believe it or not, ACCELaser will be there. So if you want to see,
Believe it.
if you want to get your peepers on this thing yourself and quit listening to me and anybody else talking about it, and just go and ask the source, go right to the teat, go for it, because they'll be at LBX.
Yeah.
Right.
Fresh from the teeth.
Proof's in the pudding.
The doc asked, what will the fiber laser source be? We don't know yet. They don't know yet. They're doing a bunch of testing, according to Michael here, that they have not settled on a final source yet. So that is TBD.
Yeah.
They are very aware that everyone likes JPT.
Interceptor 01 says, question for all the people saying that laser engraving is not a viable business to start up. What should I say and do? If you want to do laser engraving, you can. You just have to be better than everybody else. And the good news for you is that you can be. It's not that hard. Most people suck at it. So, dude,
no.
You know what? It's true.
You have to be willing to put in the time and the work.
It's so much time, it's so much effort, and it requires a certain kind of person. I am not going to be the only person. I might be the only person ever to be honest with you guys and tell you that if you don't have an eye for this, you're not going to be able to outcompete everybody else, because laser marking, laser cutting, laser engraving, you have to look at things and be able to tell when there's something wrong with it before you know there's something wrong with it. And that takes inherently takes some base level of skill. Even if it's just a visual, artistic, basic, like inherent gut feeling, like even you can teach yourself why something doesn't look right or why something needs to be fixed. That part is where the effort and the hard work comes in, but being able to recognize that out of the gate and say, oh, I can tell looking at this for half a second, there's something off center, or something doesn't look quite right with the outline marks around the outside of this engraving. Being able to recognize those problems instead of just putting out whatever is what separates the people that succeed at this from the people that lose. And
so I was going to say, to me, the other part of that is the business part, and Michael can attest to this. Like,
Sure.
You have to have a little bit of business acumen to start. You have to be willing, when people go, can you do this for $10, to say, no, it needs to be 20.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that if it is going to be a business that you're starting, like side hustles, great. Like you can do that. $10, fuck yeah, I'll do 20 of them. Right. But if you're trying to start a business with insurance, with all of the right tools to actually do the job correctly, with trying to build a brand, or at least
employees.
Yeah. I mean, God, just taxes, everything. So it's just one of those things, like having to get QuickBooks, having to have a website, having to have, all those pieces. So there's more to it than just having the laser. So the first thing is kind of what Cheryl said down in the chat. She said, if you don't love it, it'll end up hating it. And it's, if you started off as a business and you just start hating it, then now you've made a job that you hate. So see if you like it, see if it's something cool, then go, okay, how can I start to turn this into something that I like to do, which is where it ties into what Alex does. And then now where can I find people who want to pay for that? Right. So if you can't make those steps before buying the laser or after buying the laser and playing with it and kind of going, okay, this is something I could do, then maybe it's just a really cool hobby.
Also, like, massive parts of this job suck in between the parts that are fun and cool. So
yeah. I mean, dude, nobody. Here's an example. I got a really nice job a few weeks ago to engrave 900 toothbrushes, and they were all boxed.
Yep, I knew you were going to say
and packaged.
Yep,
double packaged.
Yeah.
I had to get help to
Yeah.
complete that job. Like that was not fun, like unboxing. But because, like Matt was saying, because I understand the worth of what I do and the value of what I do, I was able to make a really good amount of money on that. But I also knew that I was going to have some sucky parts of that job, and I wanted to make sure that I was well compensated for that, because there are parts of your job that the engraving is really fast. The engraving is fast. It's not about the engraving. It's about everything else leading up to that moment that you push the green button or whatever it is. That's what you're charging them for.
Yeah.
It's that. And then the other thing too is the people person aspect of it, because you're dealing with people who don't know what you're going to have to do. They don't understand. They're like, well, I saw it on YouTube and it just zaps it. I had a woman who took a month to order 100 aluminum tags that just needed 4 lines of text, with each line having like half a word, and it was just one of those things where the amount of money that I made off that, it wasn't, versus the next guy who came up and he goes, hey, I need 100 cups. And I said, yeah, those will be $24. And he's like, okay, so under 2,500. Perfect. That's what I was shooting for. Here's my logo. And it was just like that. So it's just from one person to the next, understanding, finding clientele, understanding too when to tell them, hey, no thanks, all that stuff. Yep. Exactly.
I don't know if you were watching the channel yet, Michael, but I'm sure Matt and Kyle remember the pigtail flippers that were like in that box, and there were like 2,000 of these pigtail flippers.
Yeah.
They're like little wooden handles with long, thin metal rods for like flipping hot dogs or whatever. And they have a little twist at the end, and they were all knotted together in the box. So you had to like pull one up, and they like 50 came out of the box, and they all had to be like untangled and shit. And I was doing them on the CO2 galvo, so it literally was a like 1 second mark. Right. But it took me like weeks for
to
that
untangle them and rebox them.
I almost want to unbox something that I have sitting on my shelf over there right now, but it's basically it's an aluminum rod that goes up at an angle that you put a post on for a sign for like a park, right? And I had to make 100 of those, and it was a $9,000 job, right? Like that's incredible money. But it was one of those things where the rod had its own box. Then once it was inside the box, you would pull it out. It was attached through vacuum sealed plastic that you had to take an X-Acto knife and cut through, and you'd have to like fold it over, pull it out, take it out. Then there was one screw. It was like a hexagon, like barrel screw, and it was like, so it was boop, and you had to take it out. And if you dropped it, that's fucked. Like good luck. Then on top of that, you had to get the sign. The sign had to be taken out. It was the same thing, double box. And then on top of that, you had to do the engraving, clean it, polish it, put it on, and then have a second box to put it in, because they were giving these out to people who had donated. So
the moral of the story here, for anyone who's still listening, is when you're talking to someone about getting a new job and it's a large batch job, ask them lots of questions about not just the item or how big it is or what material it is or if they're different shapes, but is it boxed? And what does the box look like? Can I go look it up? I would like to see how it comes shipped. Ask as many questions as possible so you don't end up like we have at one point in our career, spending weeks untangling, hot dog curlers. Like these are things that can be avoided, but you have to ask lots of questions before you say, here's my price, and yes, go ahead and bring them by. Right?
To swing it back around to Interceptor. I'm in UK. Also, the thing is, I'm dyslexic as well. Bro, first off, omissions and errors is the name of the insurance you want to purchase, because that'll protect you when you inevitably fuck up text. And also maybe get a second pair of eyes on your stuff if you're going to be a full-time engraver.
I think everything's going to be KO.
The other thing you can do is...
That's a fucked up joke.
Get
monster.
Get everything in digital writing so that you can copy paste.
Yeah, digital proofs.
And if they give it to you in all lowercase and are upset that you engraved it in all lowercase, you copy pasted it.
Yep, sucks to be you. Just send digital proofs of everything, because if you write like, you know, they're like, I love my wife, and the wife has 2 E's, and you take a screenshot of that, send it to them and say, is this good? This is what I'm going to mark. And they're like, yes, that looks amazing. Run it. And then you run it, you have recourse, right? Even if you're like, you can, at the very least, it gives you the option. So you can be like, hey man, that sucks. Let me fucking fix that for you. Or, hey, you're a douchebag. Fuck off. At least now you get to pick. You know what I mean? Instead of having no choice. So give yourself at least the flexibility to have an option to be a nice guy or an asshole rather than just getting pounded for no reason.
Well,
There you go.
and the other thing too is if you have a phone call where that happens, just make sure you text it too, because that literally just happened to me. A dude goes, hey, I need 37 of what you made me last year. And I said, or last time or whatever. And I said, last time, are you sure? And I said, let me send you a picture. And he goes, nope, it's good. Run it. And I said, okay, can you text that to me? And he goes, yeah, man, no problem. Sure. Literally, he got them and he was like, oh, we didn't use you last year. We got UV printed stuff, I think. And then I was like, ooh, so he got the wrong thing. It's in he was okay. I mean, it was $1,000 mistake, but he was just like, that's fine. He's like, these people like laser stuff. This will be great. And so he was happy about it, but the wrong person has that same situation. And it's like but I had the text.
So, yeah, Miranda's throwing out in chat another thing is the proof waiver, like you were saying. You know, if they don't want a proof, if they refuse to like review a proof, they have to sign something saying that, like, you know, what you get is what you get then, which we actively do at the shop here. Michael, I think this guy's from your channel. Trade Skillers Anonymous says, have been woodworking for a long time, added CNC to the shop 5 years ago, and have also added a bolt, a thunder, and recently an Omni 1 UV. I've gotten a lot from your content. Thank you, JR.
Awesome. Dude, that's great.
And that's it, guys. We're 5 minutes over now, so I'm going to cut it because by the time this episode ends, it's going to be 15. So special thanks, special shout out, especially if you guys are here from Laser Engraving 911. Thanks for coming by the Laser Source podcast. Find us if you like the show over at Laser Everything. We'd love to have you guys over at our place too. Make sure if you're interested in checking out the ACCELaser that you do so at Michael's channel, Laser Engraving 911. Check out his full review over there. I'm sure Michael goes into much more organized detail than we kind of threw random questions at him today on the podcast. It's structured. Michael's videos have been amazing. So if you want more information or you want to support his channel with his affiliate link that he has in the description, head over to his channel, Laser Engraving 911. I'll leave a link in the description here for you guys too. And also tomorrow morning, 10, maybe 9 a.m. We'll see how frisky I'm feeling. My top 10 laser picks for 2025. So nice. It's just a straight list. The video is only 8 minutes long. That's less than a minute per laser. It's a short watch. It's really, really punchy, and it gets straight to the point. So if you guys want to see the top 10 lasers you can buy right now for 2025, I have my list ready. I've kind of been sweating on it for weeks. I feel pretty solid. It's not in no particular order either. It's a fucking ordered list. There's a number 10 and a number 1. Yeah, for real. So I'm really excited to share that one with you guys. So keep an eye on the channel. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you get notified when that comes out. And if you haven't seen it, we just published the Bigfoot episode where we cut the 6 foot tall Bigfoot. Did you see that one, Michael? Did you like that? No. Oh, dude. I cut a 6 foot,
no pass through
tall Bigfoot out of plywood. It was sick. You should watch it. It's a good one. And then what was the other thing I just published? I just published something else. What did I just publish? I don't even remember anymore. I'm like losing my mind.
You did the stone veneers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the stone light. We didn't even get to talk about that
stuff,
today.
Yeah.
Bro, I saw, you know what's funny, dude?
You're
JP
welcome.
Plus sent me your tracking info for that. And I was like,
really?
Dude, I sat down. Rhiannon was like, hey, we got this weird email. Like, this tracking doesn't go to our address. And I was like, what the fuck? And I looked, and it was you. It was your house. And I was like, that motherfucker's getting this too. And I was like, he's not beating this. He's not beating us to this one.
No,
like,
and I'm not, because I already did my video on it last year.
Stone light?
Yes, bro. Look at my channel. I did a whole video dedicated to it last year.
He did.
Was it directly from them?
It was directly from them, and now that
Okay.
they've
So I
connected
beat
with,
you to the Johnson Plastics.
yeah,
Plus one.
dude, I've already given my Stone Light opinion, so
I fucking
don't
hate
worry
you.
about it.
You're the worst. You're the
His
fucking
face.
worst.
I beat you by a year, bro. But
Unbelievable.
that was direct to Stone Light. So
I literally dropped everything. I was like, we're beating Michael to this one. And here I am being an asshole because you fucking finished it a year ago, you piece of shit.
now you have
All right,
your
guys.
punishment is you have to go watch it now.
Thank you so much for being here live. If you're here with us live today, I know we didn't get to call you out by name, but I've seen you all in chat, been reading every message. If you enjoyed this one, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the ACCELaser. Make sure you go check out Michael's channel. Matt, Kyle, I appreciate you guys. I love you. Thanks for being here. And I
See you
think that's all I've got. So until the next one, guys, take care and have a good night.
Peace.